in the northeast of the Armenian highlands, at the geographical, political and cultural crossroads of Europe and Asia, since ancient times lies Artsakh, now called Nagorno Karabakh. One of the first records of historical Artsakh is the cuneiform inscription left by the mighty king of Ararat Kingdom, Sardur II, which proves that his army reached Artsakh, Urtekini, and it was part of the Urartu Kingdom. The state language of Artsakh is Armenian, one of the most ancient languages in the world, belonging to the Indo-European language family. Urtake, Orkhistene, Artsakh, Svodek, Hachen, Karabakh. For millennia, Nagorno Karabakh has been known by these names. The total area of Artsakh is 1,699 square miles. The medium elevation above sea level is 3,609 feet. The landscape of Nagorno Karabakh is typically mountainous. It occupies the eastern part of the Karabakh highland and is inclined from the west to the east. For hundreds of centuries, the fast-flowing rivers have sketched plains and carved deep gorges and canyons in the mountains. The largest of them are the plains of Tatar, Kachen, Varanda, and Kakar rivers. The highest peak of Nagorno Karabakh is Mount Gom Shasar, 12,218 feet above sea level. Thus, the mountainous landscape of Nagorno Karabakh can be described as severely rugged. Flora here is marked by great diversity. There are about 2,000 varieties of plants. More than 36% of the territory is covered with forest, and the country is also rich in precious stones and metals. The medicinal mineral waters are rich in iron and are widely applicable nowadays. The cultural heritage of Nagorno Karabakh is more than rich. More than 2,000 historical architectural monuments, fortresses, monastic complexes, churches, bridges, and numerous kachkas, which are stone crosses. Most of the ones that have survived are monuments of the Christian period. Since 301, when Christianity was adopted officially as a state religion, more than 60 monastic complexes and more than 500 churches. The oldest pre-Christian monument is the palace of the king of the Ararat Kingdom, Rusa I, dating from the 1st millennium BC. The largest settlement in Artsakh was the city of Stepanakert, built in the 1st century AD. In the central part of the Republic of Nagorno Karabakh lies the city of Shushi. It is situated at the altitude of 5,249 feet above sea level and occupies a plateau area of 914 acres. In the past, the city was called Shikaka, then Karakluk, then Shushi. There are several versions concerning the origin of the name of Shushi. According to one of them, it is a modification on the name Shosh village, which is situated 2 or 3 miles away from Shushi. There is also a supposition that after rain, the sparkle of the marble buildings of the city look like Shusha, meaning glass in Armenian. The first mention of the foundation of the Shushi fortress was made in the 18th century, when Karabakh was divided into 5 principalities. Prince Veranda of one of these kingdoms was killed by his brother, who conquered the principality and turned Shushi fortress into his own fort. The other 4 princes of Karabakh united to punish him. But the fortress was inaccessible. Since then, Shushi became the symbol of unification of Artsakh. Thanks to its position, the Shushi fortress has always had a strategic importance. The fort is surrounded by impregnable mountains on its 3 sides, and the northern side is protected by a massive 1.5-mile-long wall, which once had 50 towers and 4 gates. It was through these gates that in war times, Shushi accepted and sheltered refugees from all corners of historical Armenia and other places. They settled in Shushi and called new districts by the names of their abandoned homelands. Agulis, Aguletsotz, Tabriz, Tabriz-Tineri, Gazanchi, Gazanchitsotz. The construction of Gazanchitsotz Church of St. Saviour started in 1868 and lasted for 20 years. It was consecrated in 1888 at the time of the Catholicos Margaret. It is near Kazanchitots Church, in the heart of the city, that Shushi Hotel is situated. Here the guests are offered to visit historical, cultural monuments and sites, take sporting and hunting tours, and attend concerts. Here one can purchase a variety of authentic handmade souvenirs and articles created by the local craftsmen. The streets of Shushi are historically narrow. In one of them, the Regional Museum of Shushi is situated, where the rich historical and cultural heritage of Shushi is presented. In 1857, Shushi received the status of a city and experienced rapid development. In the 60s of the 19th century, it became one of the cultural and religious centers of the Caucasus. The social, political ideology of the Transcaucasus Armenians was formed here. Before 1920, 150 different books, 22 newspapers and magazines were published here. Schools, gymnasiums, and specialized schools and Armenian theater, as well as the public meeting hall with its summer and winter clubs, were opened. The social development of Shushi explains the fact that later on in the second half of the 19th century, several constructions of Muslim worship were built in Shushi. Among them, the upper and the lower mosques that have survived to our time. Armenian building techniques were used in these constructions. Borrowings are evident in the details of the stonework and the 3 nave halls. The church of St. Hovannes Makurtich, John the Baptist, in Shushi can be seen from nearly all parts of the city thanks to its location. Time has had a destructive effect on it. Because of its once green domes, people called it the Green Church. The part of the city where the church is situated is called the Upper or New District. It is more known as Karabakhtsots in honor of the new settlers of Shushi from other regions of Karabakh. Jadur Duz literally means bald valley and is one of the most remarkable sights of Shushi. It is a plateau on the edge of the canyon where many open-air performances take place. There is an interesting legend about the strong winds of Jadur Duz, which is yet another interpretation of the origin of this place name. They say that long ago, the Persian Khan came here with his large army and set up a camp on this site. At night, there was a strong wind which blew away all the tents, and the soldiers started yelling, "Chandodoz, Chandodoz," which means thief of tents in Farsi. Below Jadur Duz, in the canyon of Honut, the famous Zontik of Shushi is situated, literally meaning umbrella. No place name in Artsakh is given by chance. Nature itself has in fact turned the cave into a gigantic umbrella. Stepanakert is the capital of Nagorno Karabakh, with a population of 60,000 people. The monument, Our Mountains and Us, by Sarkis Bagdasaryan, towers above the entrance of the city, a sculpture of an old man and old woman standing shoulder to shoulder. These steadfast figures have become the symbol of Artsakh. The folk music ensemble of Stepanakert also bears the name of Our Mountains and Us. Their songs tell us about the life of Artsakh people as sincerely and truthfully as only genuine folk art can be. National musical instruments, the duduk, pipe and kamancha, are used to perform songs. These instruments are made by Master Garrigan in his little studio. He approaches his work with great sense of responsibility. Master Garrigan trusts the testing of the instruments only to the best kamancha player of the city. Right now he is testing a kamancha, the traditional Armenian musical instrument. The appearance of Stepanakert city has considerably changed recently. Many first-class hotels, shops and souvenir stores have opened, and all the conveniences needed for providing tourists with services and recreational opportunities. Hayk Hotel is situated in the green area of the city, consisting of two newly constructed buildings. It is distinguished by cozy and calm atmosphere, as opposed to the bustle so typical of large hotels. Nari Hotel is one of the pioneers of Stepanakert's hotel business. Besides light and comfortable rooms, the pleasant atmosphere is also created by the restaurant of the hotel with a modern design, rich assortment of dishes, folk music, and of course excellent service. The health complex, Olymp, is also situated in the center of Stepanakert. This hotel has all the facilities for active leisure. Apart from the comfortable rooms, it also offers its guests a gym and swimming pool. Souvenir lovers can visit Hayk souvenir shop in Stepanakert. The variety of national jewelry and products of applied art will not leave any visitor indifferent. Art lovers will have unforgettable memories of their visit to the studio of the painter Samvel Gabrielian. Here, one can not only purchase the artist's works, but also witness the creation of a new canvas. Another souvenir shop, Nireni, can be singled out in the capital city. It is entirely furnished by the old furniture of Shushi. The shop offers its visitors valuable articles made by local craftsmen. The owner of the shop is a jeweler and performs custom orders from visitors with great pleasure. The history of the Armenian carpet weaving is as old as the history of Armenia. There is not a single traditional Armenian family that would not have a carpet. Stepanakert has carpet weaving traditions of its own. The craftswomen of Artsakh Gorg factory skillfully weave the colors and patterns of the unique world of our mountains into a carpet. At the border of historical Artsakh and Utik regions lies the city fortress of Tigranakert, called Takrakert in local dialect. According to the tradition described by the Armenian historian Movses in the 5th century BC, the king of Mars, Ajdahak, married Tigranui, the sister of Tigran I of Armenia, in order to become closer to Tigran and to organize an act of treachery against him. Suspecting this, Tigranui warns her brother. Tigran kills Ajdahak in the battle and wins a victory over him. After the war, the king sends his sister to Tigranakert fortress to live there and generously hands over all the surrounding lands into her possession. In the 1st century BC, in the time of Tigran the Great, Armenia became the most powerful kingdom of Asia Minor. He founded 4 cities on the outskirts of his kingdom and called them by his name, Stepanakert. Attaching much importance to Artsakh, he built one of those cities here. Not too far from Stepanakert fortress, there is a cave dating from the early Christian period. There is a little chapel inside with an altar and crosses carved on the walls, typical to churches of that period. Seven and a half miles east of Stepanakert, on the banks of the Kakar River, the fortress of Gasparyan is located. Its place name is associated with the word as, meaning divine, heavenly, and Karan, meaning stone or stony. It was recorded that in the past the fortress and the nearby settlement used to be called Merbert, Mother Fortress. It served as a gateway to the visitors of Shushi. Even today the main road lies through the fortress. From the early days of its foundation, Amaras monastic complex became one of the cultural and religious centers of Artsakh. It was founded by Gregory the Illuminator, who baptized the Armenian king Tredat and spread Christianity, the state religion, all over the country. The building of Amaras was completed by the Illuminator's grandson, Bishop Grigoryan. In the 5th century, King Vachagan built a chapel over the grave of Grigoryan, which is still there today. In the year 405, after creating the Armenian alphabet, Mesrop Mashtots founded the first national school here and started the translation of the Bible. Today's Church of Amaras was built in 1858. The windows of the dwelling houses overlook the church. The refectory building is situated near the southern wing of the church. The courtyard was used for household purposes, and it also served as a farmyard for the cattle. Since ancient times, up to this day, the well of the monastic complex has provided water to the people of Amaras. The picturesque landscape of Artsakh resembles its turbulent and mighty past. If you leave the main road leading to Amaras, you will come across a gigantic plane tree, or tangerine as it is called by the locals. It is 177 feet wide, and the shadow around it covers an area of 15,070 square feet. Just the hollow of this tree is the size of a 474 square foot room. And who knows what great historical events this giant has silently witnessed for the past 2,000 years. Dadivank is situated in the eastern part of the Upper Kachin province of Artsakh. As mentioned in manuscripts, the monastery of Dadi was founded in the 1st century on the grave of Dadi, who was the pupil of the apostle Thaddeus. This is why in different historical sources the monastery is also referred to as the Church of the Saint Apostle. After the adoption of Christianity, the first and the oldest church was built here. The most attractive and unique architectural patterns in this complex is the bell tower with 2 crossed stones. In the 1880s, English and French travelers offered the religious authorities of Karabakh a huge sum of money for these stone crosses. However, the clergyman refused everybody. Frescoes in Dadivank remain only in the main Catholic church. Supposedly, the authors of the frescoes were Azu Khatun and her daughters, endowed with exceptional artistic talent. This fact is singular since it is the only time when women were mentioned to be the authors of frescoes. Not far from Zua village there is spring water coming out of the rock, flowing down into the waters of the river. It is impossible to describe the beauty of this spring, as it is woven from rainbows. Its waters are known for medicinal properties. Many visitors coming to Artsakh, having heard of this spring water, come to Zua, by all means to enjoy the curing beauty and relaxation of this mineral water. No matter how much we tour around the new country, admiring its sights of interest and beauty, no experience of that country is complete without tasting the local food. Artsakh cuisine is not only diverse, but also peculiar. Various fresh and pickled vegetables, varieties of greens and herbs, as well as honey, dried fruit and raisins give a unique flavor to the dishes. The speciality of Artsakh cuisine is a pancake with jingyao. The recipe is simple, but hardly is it possible to make such a wide variety of greens in any other place. is the right proportion of greens and the skillful hands of the cook that makes the perfect pancake with jingyao. And of course, no meal is complete without Karabakh's famous dry red wine. Wine in Karabakh is not only made from grapes, but also from berries and pomegranates. It takes a lot of time and patience to make good wine. This man from Artak village makes wine from blackberries from his own garden. First he squeezes them and then he decants the thorny blackberry. Then he filters the liquid through a sieve for several times until the residue disappears. Now we should patiently wait until the liquid sparkles, seethes and mixes with the aroma of the sun, and finally turns into a delicious wine. But as the skillful winemaker says, most important of all is to put your soul into every second of the winemaking process. Only then does the wine become truly divine. An interesting tradition survives in this village. All the women of Artak gather in the bakery, where together they make the famous Armenian flatbread in a special pit oven. This is called a tonia in Armenian. In the end, each woman takes away as much bread as she needs for her family. However, the climate here is mild. The average temperature in the hottest months of July and August is 72 Fahrenheit, and about 32 Fahrenheit is the coldest in winter in the months of January and February. There are monuments that have been symbols for generations throughout centuries. Gandzazar Church of John the Baptist rests on a tall hill over the river of Khachen. The construction of the church started in 1216 and was finished in 1238. The completion of many years' construction was followed by a pompous consecration ceremony of the Church of Gandzazar in 1240 on the day of Vartavar. Numerous people came to participate in the opening ceremony. Among them, about 700 ecclesiastics from different communities. Most likely, the earlier church did not have a proper architectural appearance and was inappropriate to the fame of the Khachen Principality. Hassan Jalal and his relatives filled this gap, and the beautiful monastery they built has remained unsurpassed for centuries. Khachkars date back to an earlier epoch before the foundation of the church, which proves that the history of Gandzazar as a religious center is older than the church itself. There are about 200 inscriptions on the walls of the monastery, providing us information about the religious life in Artsakh and the whole Armenian world. Most of those inscriptions are monuments of medieval art. In the 9th and 10th centuries, Gansassar became one of the centers of religious, cultural, scientific and political life, and became associated with the golden age of the Armenian literature. The monastic complex of Gansassar, surrounded by dozens of other monuments for centuries, remains a jewel of the Armenian architecture and a symbol of the soul of Artsakh. Maybe the rich history of Gansassar inspired patron Levon Harutyunyan, born in Vank village, to build a guest house ship on the way to the church. This eclectic construction, surrounded by virgin nature, hospitality hosts pilgrims, travelers without shelter, and serves its visitors free of charge. Here is the creator of all this, Artsakh, kind and ingenious, well-educated and intelligent, naive and stubborn, devoted and patriotic, open and hospitable. These are the people that innately consider themselves to be the ambassadors and proud representatives of Artsakh, ready to guide any visitor through their homeland with dignity, presenting them its present, past and future. Welcome, Artsakh and its people are waiting for you.